Hey there! If you're looking for a fun and easy way to earn rewards, including cash and prizes, check out the link in the video description.
Good morning. Donald Trump has been found guilty of all 34 counts of falsifying business records in a hush-money scheme to influence the outcome of the 2016 election, a historic conviction in the first criminal trial against a current or former U.S. president. Trump and his allies reacted to the verdict by continuing their attacks on U.S. democratic institutions. Trump called it a rigged trial by a judge who was corrupt. Tucker Carlson said, "Anyone who defends this verdict is a danger to you and your family." Trump is unlikely to be sentenced to prison, experts say. He is a first-time offender, and the crime he has been found guilty of is a non-violent, paper crime. What happens next? He will be sentenced on July 11 at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and is certain to appeal. The Republican National Convention, where will be formally nominated as the party's candidate for president, happens 4 days later. What does it mean for Trump's polling? His numbers have remained unchanged throughout the trial. Trump is averaging 41.2%, Biden 39.5%, but roughly a quarter of people who said they would vote Trump also said they would reconsider their vote if he were convicted of a crime. President Joe Biden has allowed Ukraine to use some U.S.-made weapons over one part of the Russian border, to allow Kiev's forces to defend against an offensive aimed at Kharkiv. The president recently directed his team to ensure that Ukraine is able to use U.S.-supplied weapons for counter-fire purposes in the Kharkiv region so Ukraine can hit back against Russian forces, a U.S. official said. But limits on the use of U.S. long-range weapons, such as the Army Tactical Missile System, ATACMS, will remain. Meanwhile in Ukraine, on Friday Russian forces shelled a 5-story apartment building in Kharkiv, starting a fire and wounding 8 people. What prompted the change? Biden's decision followed calls from U.S. allies in Europe, including the UK, Germany, and France, and the NATO Secretary General, for Ukraine to be able to use Western-provided weapons against military targets in Russia. How might Russia react? President Vladimir Putin has warned of serious consequences if Russia is struck with Western weapons. ActionAid has described the Israeli military pressing on with its ground invasion of Rafah as a flagrant disregard of the binding ICJ ruling issued on May 24. Reham Jafari, of ActionAid Palestine, said recent days had been utterly harrowing. People in Rafah reported intense artillery shelling and gunfire on Thursday. Witnesses reported fighting in central and western Rafah, according to AFP, and Israeli forces demolished several buildings in the city. An Israeli government spokesperson said about 300 Palestinian gunmen have been killed since May 6. Meanwhile, the US and UK struck 13 Houthi targets in Yemen on Thursday evening, in response to attacks by the Iran-backed militia group on ships. What is the humanitarian cost of the war? After Hamas killed about 1,200 people in Israel and took 250 hostage on October 7, the Israeli offensive has killed more than 35,000 people, displaced 80% of Gaza's population and decimated infrastructure, bringing the Strip close to famine. 14 people have been found guilty of subversion by a court in Hong Kong, in the biggest case against pro-democracy campaigners since China imposed a national security law to crush dissent. A third person has tested positive for H5N1 bird flu in the U.S., the CDC has said. It's the second case to be detected in Michigan. Thousands of patients in England are to be fast-tracked into groundbreaking trials of personalized cancer vaccines, in a revolutionary world-first NHS matchmaking scheme. OpenAI has said its artificial intelligence tools are being used for covert influence operations, revealing that the company has disrupted disinformation campaigns originating from Russia, China, Israel, and Iran. U.S. authorities announced on Thursday they had dismantled the world's largest botnet ever, allegedly responsible for nearly $6 billion in COVID insurance fraud. The European Union's Judicial Cooperation Agency, Eurojust, said police arrested 4 high-value suspects, took down more than 100 servers, and seized control of more than 2,000 internet domains. A U.S. anti-porn campaign group has advised, promoted, and endorsed anti-LGBTQ activists and politicians in Uganda, including a governing party member who said gays should be castrated. At R.